have a dream, that's all I need. I'll make it happen with some work and belief. Know what I want, so I'll take it on. I've made mistakes, but mistakes make you strong. Let's break it down for a minute. I want the crown, I'm gon' get it. You hear me loud, man, I'm winning. Yeah, Charlie Sheen will be grinning. These ladies know that I'm sinning, and this is just the beginning. I'm closing in the night inning. There ain't no point in resisting. Living life like a dream, big it right, that's the thing. Every night, got a team, I've been tied to the scene. Out on stage, hear them scream, okay, it's a dream. And I pray as a team, one day it'll be me. If I want it, then I'll get it. Headed down, don't regret it. Push myself to the limit. If I play it, then I win it. I'm just saying, I'm just living for today. For a minute, I don't stay, I just visit. Have no shame, I admit it. Looking to see if I succeed, to see if I believe. They're looking up to me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now. Swear to God, man, I'ma make it soon. Silence all the haters as they see us making moves. I do what I want, so I got nothing to prove. Staying motivated, teaching others what to do. I'm staying focused, my mind is open. They start to notice that I'm in motion. There is no potion, you're not just chosen. It takes devotion to stay composed, man. Never stop, there ain't no time to fall. Try to live, get it up, you got one life to pop. Thinking big, never small, cause you gotta want it all. When you finally get that call, you get ready, take it on. Need a hand out, I already stand out. Starting to advance now, ready to expand now. You don't have a chance now, cause we're in demand now. Make it by the grand now, feeling in command now. They're looking right at me to see if I succeed, to see if I believe. They're looking up to me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now.
Welcome to Unique Prepping. My name is Zach, and the reason why this channel exists is because I want to build a community of prepping, homesteading, freesteading like-minded people who want to learn, grow, and build a beautiful future together. My goal is wanting people to understand that no matter what life throws at you, physical limitations you have, or situation you may encounter, we all can unite and fight for our future generations to come. The reason why I'm so passionate about the future is because I was born into this world dead for 27 minutes, and I believe that when I was unconscious, God retrieved me back into heaven, replaced my abilities to walk and talk normally with the ability to have a powerful brain and heart to build a beautiful community to hold the line and have a freedom that we, as God's children, deserve. Welcome to the channel, and let's learn together. Disclaimer. While this stream is intended for everyone, some views expressed by guests or in comments may not reflect that of the content creator or sponsors. With that said, we welcome your views as a vital part of this community. And now it's time for Unique Prepping's Community Live Stream.
Hey Zach, how you doing?
Good afternoon, our community, and welcome to the 8th segment of Unique Prepping's Community. On today's episode, we will be discussing food preservation and why it's so important to being in a community. I'm your host, producer, and community member Unique Prepping, and with me is our wonderful community member Yoda from the YouTube channel Grumpy Acres Farm. In the description down below, I put their channel. Please go subscribe to them and help the community keep growing. Before we start, how are you doing today, Mrs. Yoda?
I'm hot and tired, but doing good. How are you doing?
That's good, and I'm doing good today, thank you. I appreciate you wanting to join me today to talk about food preservation. This is very important to me because not only does food help us get us by day to day, but it also provides us the nutritional fortitude to keep our physical and mental energy flowing throughout our daily goals. I just want to thank the community for being here today. We appreciate each one of you. Also, the small thing I ask for is please smash the like button. It helps this channel keep growing and helping reach more people so we can unite together. Before we begin, do you have any words to add?
Well, as you said, I'm Yoda from Grumpy Acres Farm. When you come over and check us out, we do a little political, we do a little cooking, preserving, all of that. And you can also go and check our affiliate links. We have one special new affiliate coming on that Grumpy will be introducing at some point. And on the note of food preservation, one of the partners that we have is forestnursery.com. And then we also have sun ovens, so you can go in and get your sun ovens. So check out our links and make sure that you subscribe, and if you like our content, and share the videos. The more of them we get out there, the better it is.
Oh, and Yoda, I'll be implementing something new to my answers. Whenever I'm done with my answers, I'll put UP out at the end of them. This way I don't make it awkward to my panelists.
All right, so where do we want to go with the first question? You sent me a list.
Question number 1. How does food preservation help in reducing food waste within a community?
It does fabulous. So one of the things that we do in building the community and making sure that everybody is doing something, because some people can grow bigger than other people. And so what it does is it also helps when we go to preserve the food, and like anybody who's watched our channel knows, it's nothing to do 150 meat birds at one time. And we do that in about 2.5 hours, butchering and then getting them cooled down so that we can get them jarred up. It's about a 2 to 3 day process. And the way that we do that is we get everybody coming in and helping out. And so everyone will bring their own chickens, or maybe you just get chickens all together and one person raises them and you do that. You do the same with turkeys and all of that. So there's a few community members that raise turkeys and there's many that don't. So we can supply all of that. Also, we have different areas, right? So we're in a valley, other people are up top, that kind of thing. So different things grow better in different areas. we have a river bottom, so amaranth grows great here, which is an ancient grain. And then we get a lot of the wild and volunteers and herbs and that kind of thing. We don't have to do in pots, they naturally come up. So we can share that. We also have a local restaurant that has seen what's going on, and she is actually asked to try some of our stuff and have some of our community actually provide her fresh herbs and meat and all of that. So it makes it really nice because then she can say that it is farm grown and this is her food and she's putting out fresh products. So it helps in that manner too. But basically, you're speeding up your process. You're not wasting anything. We also have out here, we have harvesters that they do. And it's really sad because you see a lot of the food that comes in, a lot of people don't want it, or there's several stuff left over, that kind of thing. So it is nothing for, G passes out harvesters on the first Friday of every month, and he'll come home, or, another member of the community, her aunt runs harvesters. They accidentally deliver 14 pallets. So now all of a sudden 350 pounds of potatoes have to be processed, and 200 pounds of onions have to be processed, and that kind of thing. So we can take all of that food and we can process all of that and do it. If we do it as a group, it's better. Not all the time can that happen, especially this time of year, because everybody's going to get their housing and all of that together. So I will do a lot of that. What that does is that puts that food away, and that's something that we would look at if somebody says, my onions didn't come in great this year. And we can say, okay, we have X amount of onions. We've got them freeze-dried, or we have them caramelized, or, et cetera, et cetera. And so everybody can say, okay, well, I'll take this and that if you have it to spare. And so we can help each other out in that manner too. If you're, say my tomatoes don't come in, but Life Done Free, they're overwhelmed in tomatoes, and she can only process so much at a time. I can go over, pick up bushels of of tomatoes and bushels of corn or whatnot, and I can get all of that processed. And then basically what I do, when I get it from another community member, I will process it. 50% of that goes to the community member that provided it, and I get 50% that I keep myself. If we do jars, we try to make sure that everybody is replacing everyone's jars. That's not always possible, but I have way more jars than a lot of people do, so they know that. It's not, they don't take advantage of me. I get my jars back, but it's just one of those things. So be prepared in that manner to take care of everything. Knowing how to do it, what needs to be blanched before it's canned. The other important thing is to remember your freeze dryer. If you're freeze drying, that's only going to go so far. If you're putting everything in the freezer, it's also only going to go so far. So sometimes you may have a crop that is just super, super big, and you go, I've got no room for this. And so you have to figure it out, and you got to figure it out quick. Well, that may mean you call up another community member and you go, how much can you process of this? And so then, for example, I did 3 bushels of sweet corn so that it didn't go bad, and I was able to process that by canning it, and then I did freeze some so we had corn on the cob. However, I can go back, and as my freeze dryers free up, I can take what I've canned and throw them in the freeze dryer, and then I can get those freeze dried as that opens up. So there's several different ways of doing that, but it takes a community to do it. Otherwise, you are going to waste food. And, America probably wastes, I'm going to say, over 65% of their food goes in the trash. It's terrible. So, to share a little bit. And if you see a family that is in the community that's hurting a little bit, now you've got extra that you can just say, hey, here's this. Well, how much would you like? And so I've already shared and given out several zucchini and that kind of thing. That's just what we do around here, and it helps out. So that's a good way. Just build your community.
Food preservation helps in reducing food waste within a community by extending the shelf life of perishable items, allowing them to be stored for longer periods without spoiling. Techniques like canning, freezing, drying, and fermenting enable households and community organizations to keep surplus produce from going to waste during peak harvest seasons. By preserving food, communities can make use of excess produce that might otherwise be discarded, thus minimizing the amount of food that ends up in landfills. This not only helps in managing resources more efficiently but also ensures a steady supply of food throughout the year, reducing the need to discard items due to spoilage. Food preservation also encourages local food consumption and reduces the dependency on external food sources, which can lead to less waste. In addition, preserved foods can be distributed to those in need, enhancing food security and ensuring that all members of the community have access to nutritious options even when fresh produce is not available. UP out.
Yeah, spot on. We, great minds think alike. Yeah, it's very interesting. It's so important, guys. I can't even tell you. And some of the questions, Zach, that you put out are just really spot on. A lot of things that we need to be thinking about, especially right now.
Question number 2. In what ways can preserved food improve food security for community members, especially during times of scarcity?
Well, kind of hits on that thing, making sure that your pantries are full, making sure other community members' pantries are full. What is everybody storing on the hook? Who has hogs? Who's got beef? Who has chicken? Who has turkeys? Etc. Etc. Scarcity. One of the things we were seeing for a little bit was also dog food and cat food. And then look at the prices, the way that they have skyrocketed, and so it makes that a little bit difficult. Now we figured it out, and so now we have more and more community members actually adding rabbits to their inventory stored on the hook. So now you've got dog food, now you've got cat food, you've got all of this. There's something interesting. You said this, and I actually had spoke with my dad today, and they're up in Alaska. And so something else to think about as well. Up in Alaska, the bear population, a lot of the animals up there, and trust me, this relates. The salmon that go up. You have another river that what do they call that? The chaw goes up, and then you have another river that the sockeye goes through, and they do all of this to spawn. And the bears are able to eat. They're able to do everything. The count so far, and you have to remember, we're already July 15th, whatever. I can't even remember the date today, but so the 15th, and here we are, July 15th, and the sockeye are blocked by the other fish somewhere out in the channel. They have no idea where, and the salmon are not coming up the way that they were. They do have a way to count the salmon that come in. Usually they come in by the thousands and thousands, and so far this year they've only had 580 counted. So this becomes a problem because now you're going to have bears that are getting hungry and other wildlife that's getting hungry. And what are they going to do? They're going to come into your gardens. They're going to come into your food storage and that kind of thing. For all of you out in Colorado, you know how that is. Those bears don't care. They smell food. They're going to take the door down to get it. And so we have to think of those kind of things. So how are we storing our food in order to preserve it so that they're not doing it? My recommendation, this is my opinion, when we do grains and that kind of thing, when we do that, everything goes into a 5-gallon bucket. It is sealed in a 5-gallon Mylar bag, and then we seal that off, make sure what needs O2 absorbers gets O2 absorbers, and then we pound down that lid. And that way, no bugs can get into that to contact it, and the animals can't smell it. So it makes it airtight, right? So there is an idea right there. Let's see. Because if they're coming in and they're taking out your gardens, those animals, and they will, if they're coming in and they're taking out your gardens, you're going to be short, right? So again, it comes back to community members and seeing what everybody has on hand. I know when we had our chicken coop and lost 350 turkeys and chickens, my community immediately came together and said, here's eggs, here's this, here's, and what we did with eggs, we were able to hatch those out and rebuild our stock. Then we had another community member that says that raises American breasts, and he said, here, you need to have meat birds automatically on hand. Here's eggs, and I was picking those up and hatching them for community members around here. I've been doing that all spring, and just now stopped the incubators because it's so dang hot, and I have to brood everybody in my house, so not fun. And so there's another way to do it. So making sure that you have several different ways of storage. That's my recommendation for food security. Um, Now, can you grow? Not everybody is going to be able to grow the way that we grow, or the way that my neighbor grows, or what Farmer Matt grows, and that kind of thing. So again, building that community, it makes a difference, because then okay, this person has something on the hook. You know what you have and what you're doing. Then you can trade with each other and barter, do the barter system, and that works really well. Then that way nobody feels cheated, and you're getting equal. You're not taking care of anybody. You're not doing handouts, but you're bartering, whether that's for services or whatever. And then I'm going to say also, another example too is we just had a community member, and she had tarragon coming out of her ears. This year it's just going gangbusters. And so she immediately called me up and she said, hey, I've got tarragon. And I said, uh-huh. And she said, it's coming out of my ears. And she was not kidding. She brought me, see, I processed too. She brought me 15 bunches of tarragon, and I mean, they were big bunches and hanging long on my front porch. And I just dried those, and then I processed everything, and then again, I put everything into jars or whatever. She brought me what she could. I put all that in there, and then I got the rest of it. So now I have medicine for my chickens. I've got seasonings, I've got tea, I've got all of that. And so this is something to think about as well. And sometimes you just share with each other like that. But I would say for the most part, it's just a matter of having compassion for each other in the community, and making sure that you're taking care of each other. So I hope that answered your question. I may have chased squirrels there, but it does matter. Is there a question in there? Preserve food, improve food security for community members, especially during the times of scarcity. So with the scarcity and times of scarcity, it's just like what we talked about. Everybody can grow something different. And so we're real lucky here. We have a community member that they're actually Buffalo Seed Company. And so they do the seeds that are drought hardy and that kind of thing. So we do a lot with them, and there's stuff, like I said, on different land. Everybody can grow something different. So in the scarcity, I mean, you just got to be preserving before and making sure, and you may have to do without. So if you have to do without something, then you learn what to swap out. So, for example, I just put out the French onion casserole video. So I put that recipe up, and I went through. I had to figure out how to break it down, because when I started it and I was looking at all the ingredients that were on there, it was $55 for a 9x13 pan. Well, not everybody's going to be able to do that. And so I'm like, okay, what replaces cremini mushrooms? So it's about gaining knowledge like this, right? And we in America today, we can just Google everything even. And so they said you can use white button mushrooms, but you're going to lose flavor. And then there was just several different recommendations. And I thought, well, why don't, since the older portobello also loses the taste in there from cremating mushrooms, wouldn't baby portobello work? And so I was like, I'm going to try it and see what happens. So I tried it. It was excellent. I actually got that casserole down to $35 by the time I was done. And that's if you have to buy it at the grocery store. So if you know, whatever you're growing and doing all of that, you can do that. So you don't necessarily in scarcity have to go without. You've got to learn how to replace. You've got, you know, what do you trade out? So if you gain that knowledge now, then that is going to help you down the road later. And so then again, like we have a couple of community members that are getting into growing mushrooms. And so that they're going to do this, that's going to be their profession. And so I usually go to him and say, okay, what's going to be good. Then if there's something vinegar. So for example, with vinegar, well, then this is important to scarcity and to food preservation. The vinegar right now, there's a meme that keeps coming up, and somebody went and just grabbed a jar of vinegar, and she went to go preserve her food, and realized with the vinegar that she had purchased, it was 4% and not 5%. Well, we've got shrinkflation, right? So what they're trying to do is they're trying to get products out that faster and faster, and it's not going to be at the quality of what you actually need. And so it's odd to me that vinegar is becoming scarce to the point that it's getting so expensive. So what you need to do is you need to learn how to make vinegar. And so after I saw that meme, I went back and I checked the percentages on my vinegar, and a lot of my vinegars are way over 5%. And so if you're making vinegar yourself and doing that and preserving that, that's a great way to do it. Then that way you don't have to buy it. You don't have to worry about if it's on the shelf or not. And we've all seen it over the, you know, since COVID started. We all saw that vinegar was just flying off the shelves and it was hard to get in. And so learning all of this stuff now and really getting into what's going on, and how to not just preserve, but how to process and do all of that is key. And then medicine is super important. You know, you guys, you probably, what everybody is calling weeds and putting, you know, all this poison on and killing is probably all medicine out there, and a lot of your food is medicine. So you need to figure out what are your superfoods. And I've got superfoods out here in my, you know, on our pasture that are great. And so, you know, Zach, I was telling you about the purslane. So Colorado right now, you guys, there's volunteer purslane everywhere. That's a superfood. So you just put it in your salad. You can do whatever with it. Cook with it if you want, just however you want to do it. But purslane is considered a weed. So isn't it ironic that that's a superfood and everybody's being told that it's a weed? Let's see, there are other things. There's so much other stuff out there that is the same way. And so anybody who's walked through my gardens, they know I have gardens that are separated. And so I have a garden for chickens, I've got a garden for the sheep and the goats, and I've got a garden for the kitchen, and then I've got the what I call the super garden. So hopefully that answered that, got a little bit deeper in that. Hopefully that's what I'm looking for. So, okay, now I see where I'm supposed to go. Can we increase the volume just a tad bit? I did. I think it's as high as it'll go. I may have to use that camera. Let's see. Oh. Sorry, guys. Now we're gonna get all personal right now. Let me see. Nope. Okay. Is that better? Maybe I'm just too far away from the camera. Hopefully that's better, and I'll speak up too. That'll help. And just for you guys, hang on. I'm going to turn the AC off. I know that's going to help.
Preserved food can improve food security for community members in numerous ways. By extending the shelf life of perishable items, it ensures a consistent food supply during times when fresh produce may be scarce or unavailable. Preservation methods such as canning, freezing, drying, and fermenting allow communities to store food from periods of abundance, creating a buffer against periods of scarcity caused by seasonal changes, economic disruptions, or natural disasters. Access to preserved food reduces the reliance on external
Mm.
food sources and stabilizes food availability, which is crucial for maintaining nutrition and health. It also allows for better management of food resources, minimizing waste and making it easier to plan and ration supplies. In times of crisis, having a stockpile of preserved food can be life-saving, providing essential nutrients and calories to sustain the community until normal conditions resume. Preserved food supports the local economy by enabling small-scale food producers to sell their products year-round, thus enhancing the overall resilience of the community's food system. UP out.
Again, great minds think alike. Of course, Zach, this is not you and I's first rodeo either. We've talked food preservation before.
Question #3. What role does food preservation play in maintaining the nutritional value of food over extended periods?
A lot. So, for example, let's start here. So, fermentation. So, when you're fermenting your food, you're going to, and there is a way to can fermented food. And so, if you're canning it, then you're looking at, I don't know, I'm going to say nutritional wise, keeping that quality. If you do it correctly, you're going to get, let's say, 8 years, okay? And then, so you've got that, that's fermenting. Then let's go up to regular canning. So your regular canning, you're going to be good with the nutrients and the same nutrients. As it processes, that quality goes down anyway, right? It's the difference between raw vegetables and cooked vegetables, same thing. So when you're doing that, that again, you're looking 8, 12 years depending on what it is. Okay. And then if you go to freeze drying, then when you're freeze drying, you're getting anywhere between 30 and 45 years. Um, I don't know. The numbers keep going up and up and up. Uh, I think it was Four Patriots was saying something. I'm hesitant about their number only because I know how many preservatives they put in it. So there may be a difference between fresh quality food and then anything that has all that poison and sodium in it. So I'm hesitant to say that you're going to get 100 years off of my freeze dried food. So, but we check that. When you're looking at storing grains in 5-gallon buckets, let's take, for example, the difference between ground flour, flour that's already flour, and wheat berries. So if I put away wheat berries in a 5-gallon bucket and then seal them up properly, get all of that done, then I can store those for 30 years. If I do ground flour, I have to be rotating that ground flour out because that is not going to store any longer than 10 years. And so if you do it correctly, so I constantly have to rotate out, which I cook anyway, so and sell my food. So I run through flour like nobody's business. But still, the point is, I have wheat berries on hand and I have buckets of them because I want to make sure we depend on a lot of that flour. And I know that I have people hooked to my cinnamon rolls that will barter for me in hard times for me to cook them cinnamon rolls. And I've got everything on hand. And let's say, I need something else, then, if they think it's a good trade, then we'll trade that. And here's another example that we're doing in our community right now. I have community members that are building their house. They, have been here. They're working hard on that house every day, trying to get it off grid, trying to get all of that done. And then they get home tired, it's hot, all of that. Well, they came with a brand new large size freeze dryer. And so they originally, when they got here, they said, hey, we know this can't sit and it needs to be used. Do you want to use it? And I said, sure. And I was like, in trade, I'll just freeze dry some stuff for you and that kind of thing. And so that was our original agreement. And then they came back to me as they started tasting my cooking and seeing what I could do. Then they were like, "Hey, would you be a private chef for us? Cook our food, and then here's the price that we'll sell you the freeze dryer for. We're going to give it to you half price if you will do the food at cost." Which is now how when I do my recipes, I can give everybody the cost of what that dish is. And so we track everything and what we're getting. And the reason why they wanted to do that is because when we get to the point that that freeze dryer is paid off, our agreement is met, all of that, then they're going to just start purchasing meals from me. And so that way they can support me and do that. Well, in doing that, I also got to the point where I was making my cinnamon rolls and I was doing all that. Well, then community members started tasting the cinnamon rolls. Then they started tasting the tamales and all of that. So now I'm cooking for many, many, many people. So it will be very important for me to have masaka in 5 gallon buckets. It will be very important for me to have wheat berries in 5 gallon buckets because that is how I know that I'm going to be able to survive when things go bad. And so, and we're helping each other out, creating our own economic system that let's just say it, the taxman can't put any value on, and so they can't tell you how much. So there's that. Just a perfect example of what we're going through right now.
Food preservation plays a crucial role in maintaining the nutritional value of food over extended periods by preventing the growth of microorganisms and the oxidation of fats that can lead to nutrient degradation. Techniques such as canning, freezing, drying, and fermenting help retain essential vitamins and minerals that would otherwise be lost through spoilage. For instance, freezing food preserves its vitamin content by halting enzymatic reactions that break down nutrients. Canning locks in nutrients at the time of processing, ensuring that fruits and vegetables retain their vitamins and minerals for months or even years. Drying removes moisture that bacteria and mold need to thrive, thus preserving the nutritional integrity of food. Fermentation enhances the bioavailability of certain nutrients, making them easier for the body to absorb. By effectively preserving food, communities can ensure a stable supply of nutritious food, even during off-seasons or times of scarcity, supporting overall health and well-being. UP out.
Yeah, can't agree more.
Question number 4. How can traditional food preservation methods contribute to cultural heritage and community identity?
So I had to when I saw these next two questions, I was like, man, I wish he would have sent me these questions 2 weeks ago. And so I was thinking about that. It's I think as far as when it comes to heritage and your environment, it's going to be different for everybody, right? So we're not in Alaska, so we're not going out and fishing and getting salmon and doing all of that and have the options that they do up there. So we have to kind of look and see what we have here. So I'm in the Midwest, so we're looking at beef. It's basically beef potato country, right? And then vegetables and that kind of thing. So we're preserving more pot roast recipes. We're doing chicken, or we're doing pork and turkey and that kind of thing. So that's mostly what we're doing here. We get when the garden comes in, we've got cabbage, carrots, onions, that kind of thing. So that's when we'll go ahead and well, I will go ahead and put together my coleslaws and all of that. I've got a coleslaw that my son loves and he just can't get enough of. And I'll can all that up. And then I don't have to worry about whether or not my cabbage comes in or doesn't come in. or have it, whether the store has cabbage, because I know I've got that coleslaw already in there, and he's got a comfort food when he comes to see his mom, or I'll just take it down to him when I go to see the grandbabies. So it's just one of those things that helps out. Drying. So I know that in Alaska, the East Coast, especially if you go back to the times that they were welling, and Massachusetts and all of that, Connecticut, you can go. In fact, there's a fabulous museum up there. Where was that? I think it was in Connecticut. It was, can't remember. There's a movie. It was Pizza. Julia Roberts was in it. So I don't know. You guys can look it up. But if you go to that town right there, there's a wonderful whaling museum, and that's what they literally have out so that everybody can see it. They have all of the fish that they had caught, and that was laying out, and then they would dry it with the salt and just let the sun take care of it, and then that fish is still edible. I'm not sure what how old the fish was that I had seen, that was just sitting out on the it was sitting out on the pier, whatever. And man, I mean, it was solid. I could definitely see how you could bring that back or just eat it if you needed like a cracker, and pretty dang neat. So there's several different ways. That would be a culture that would know that really well. So we need to know that. We have smoking. Smokehouses are really big in the Midwest, and so we can smoke and do all of that, and then learn how to when we butcher, get the capicola. If nobody knows what that is, that's the muscles that are in the neck, and you can get them from the hog, the sheep, and beef, and all of that. And so then you make your capicola. Well, so the capicola process is also a preservation and a type of preservation. So a lot of your ranchers are going to know that. A lot of your butchers are going to know that. So you want to and learn those kind of things so that you know what you need to do. And capicola will hang. And so, let's see, I saw a lot. There's a gal is in Bajarain, and she has a YouTube channel, and I watch her. And Grumpy and I have actually learned a lot from them. And so she hangs a lot of stuff. Did you know? Let's see, it was over. I'm trying to remember. I did a video on it, so you can go back, and it was on. I was studying tack bread. So all the way back during the war, there was tack that they would make. And so I was like, I wonder if this could be done with regular bread. And I had found a book that was breads and flat breads of the world. And there was a beautiful story in there, and it was talking about making bread and what they would do. I want to say it was in Switzerland, but don't quote me on that. And so when the kids would get married, it was very traditional that the families would make bread rings, and it was a flatbread. And basically, you just string it, and you should have seen it in here. It was crazy. And so you string through it, and then you hang it to dry, and that's how they would keep their bread from going bad. And so they would dry it, get all of that done, and then basically what you did, you use that to sop up your soup. So you're not breaking your teeth when you eat it. So you would have a stew or soup or something like that, and then use that bread and soften it up, and that's how you could get a filler, right? Because fillers are going to be very important as well. And so then you get a little more into your body, and you don't feel so hungry, and you don't get malnutrition. So again, it's really important to learn how to do all this, and you don't have to separate yourself from one culture or the other. I would say it's definitely imperative to start finding books like this and start learning about other cultures so you can learn different ways of maintaining. So I know, okay, this is how they're preserving salmon. I bet you I could do this with the fish out in our pond, or I can go fishing down at the lake and I can do all that. So I have a video, I think it's been 2 years or so. You could probably go in and then look, and it was on smoking and preserving fish, different ways of doing that. And so I had a bunch of fish, and so what I did is I smoked everything and then came in and canned it. And I know it's been 2.5 years, and Garen is still eating that fish out of those jars, and it tastes just as good as it did the first day that I did it. So, so there's different. We just got to learn. We got to learn from each other, and why we share. This is why we share our journey and what we're finding out, because we want all of you. We would rather you be doing it than showing up at our gate saying, I'm hungry. And I'm going, you got, it's you, your husband, your cousins, your grandma, everybody else. I can't feed all of you. You are not in my plan. And so then at that point, they're homeless, they're coming to you hungry, they're doing all of that. What do you do? There's only so much, come work on the land and I'll feed you, that you can possibly do. And especially in short growing season, and everybody's growing season is different, right? Which is also another reason why you want to learn from different cultures and different areas. Because what happens if our growing season changes? What happens if we have a bad growing season? We need to know that stuff. So I think that answers that and sums that up for me.
Traditional food preservation methods contribute to cultural heritage and community identity by preserving ancestral knowledge and techniques passed down through generations. These methods often involve unique processes and ingredients specific to a region or culture, fostering a sense of pride and continuity among community members. Practicing these techniques connects people to their history, providing a tangible link to their ancestors and their way of life. These methods play a crucial role in social cohesion, as they often involve communal activities and shared knowledge, reinforcing bonds and a sense of belonging. Traditional preservation techniques can distinguish one community from another, highlighting unique cultural practices and culinary traditions. This distinctiveness promotes cultural diversity, attracting interest from outside the community, leading to cultural exchange and economic opportunities through tourism and local food markets. The preservation of traditional food methods ensures that the community's cultural identity remains vibrant and relevant, fostering resilience and adaptability in a rapidly changing world. UP out.
Yep. All right, Zach, you're just making me feel confident now. Literally, I didn't get to see the questions until 2 hours before we came on.
Question number 5. What economic benefits can a community experience by adopting effective food preservation techniques, such as reducing the cost of food and increasing local food production?
Well, goes back to example with the local restaurant that now is able to buy farmers food, so we can increase production. Now she wants to start pulling lamb, and she may only do that on a special occasion, and turkeys, and obviously that would be Thanksgiving. And so we can grow those turkeys out for her, and then she can provide that in her restaurant. She's making money, she's paying us, we're making money. My cinnamon rolls, I'm making cinnamon rolls. I take them to her. She's selling my cinnamon rolls, right? And so we're helping each other out. She makes money. I make money. Um, let's see, somebody else has an overabundance of eggs. And so, she can buy those eggs, and then, there's a little sticker that you put on those, if you got the license and all of that. So the health department knows that they're good eggs and there's nothing wrong with them. They're stored correctly. This person knows how to grow those, etc. So the restaurant owner is protected. Now, there's a way that you have to do that. So the food that goes into a restaurant has to be USDA butchered, right? So we can't butcher it and then sell it to her and then put it in the restaurant. But what we can do is she can purchase the lamb. We give her a good price on it. We take it to the locker. The locker will go ahead and produce it, butcher it, USDA. She goes, picks it up, pays the butcher fee, and then throws it in her freezer and serves it to the consumer. So this is just one way that works in the community. There's other ways. You can also do that with services. A lot of people are like, I just don't have the time. I don't have this. I have to take care of XYZ and that kind of thing. Yes, sometimes we have to suck it up. And anybody that knows here, there's times I'm not going to bed until 4 o'clock in the morning because I'm processing. Because I have to get that process done because that fruit or whatever is not going to sit one more day. And so I have to make sure that all of this is done, and I can't leave batches that are undone. So, because there are things that sometimes you run into a snag, and maybe something doesn't heat up as fast as you think it's going to when you're canning and that kind of thing. So you have to adjust for that. I understand not everybody can do that. So then this is where you go in and you say, okay, well, maybe I can find a local farmer in my community, and maybe they're already processing jams and canning and doing all of that. See if they sell any of their goods. A lot of people do. And so, especially in Kansas, there is with a cottage law, and that is through University of Kansas out of Manhattan. And we can actually send in the small farms, cottages, all of that. We can actually send in our food. They test everything. They run it through. They've got how much nutrients is in what, what's in there, etc. They break all of it down. They make your labels, and to top it off, it's all free. So they're helping us in order to build our economy and get all of that done so that we're actually producing and helping others out. When you're growing it yourself, you can get that food a little bit cheaper. I think the issue comes in, you have to remember that that farmer is starting from seeds. And so they're starting when you're, let's take a greenhouse for example. When you're starting in a greenhouse, you're starting February and March, and you're starting these seeds, and you're nurturing everything, and you're trying to get it, to grow and do all that. This takes time. It also takes money. It takes energy, and you have to figure out what your time is worth, right? And so the more that it goes, and the more you're putting into it, as they get bigger and bigger before you can sell them. You could sell them as plants. That's going to be a cheaper way. So if you're growing your own food, that's going to be a cheaper way to do it. But you need to remember, when you go to a farmer's market and you're buying tomatoes, just for example, and you go, yikes, I have to pay that. We'll know that that farmer put a lot of care into that tomato process to go out and do that. And we're the ones that in 106 degrees are going out and picking the tomatoes and doing all of that. So this is a lot of why everybody's like, I can't believe you don't have your central air on. Well, the whole reason why we don't is because if we're in the central air all day, we're not out in the garden. We're not doing our garden 30. We're not taking care of the greenhouse, and we're not taking care of the livestock. So you need to remember what that farmer is going through. We don't have an air conditioned tractor. So, it's these and just frying out in the sun. And the sun has just been, I was telling my dad, the sun has just been brutal this year. So you just feel like you're on fire every time you go outside. But anyway, I digress. So that's one way that you can do the economy and trading with each other. And in order to do this, you realize when we're doing this and we make this a habit, we can keep 85% of our money that everybody is bringing in. We can keep 85% of that in our community. And so it's not going out. We're not paying taxes on it, taxes on that dollar, and taxes on that dollar. So we're not losing 85% of our money. We're helping each other out. And then again, bartering. So, if you can barter and do all of that, that helps a lot. And that's considered, I consider that part of the economy. And so it's just a new way of thinking, and it's a new way of trade. So hopefully I answered that.
Effective food preservation techniques offer numerous economic benefits to communities. They reduce food waste, lowering costs for consumers and producers alike. Extending the shelf life of food enables bulk purchasing and storage, which can lead to significant cost savings. Enhanced local food production becomes feasible, as preserved foods can be stored and sold over longer periods, stabilizing markets and ensuring a steady income for farmers. This stability encourages local agricultural growth and reduces reliance on imported foods, thereby retaining more money within the community. Food preservation creates job opportunities in preservation and storage industries, boosting local employment and stimulating economic activity. Preserving seasonal surpluses ensures more consistent food availability, contributing to price stability and making nutritious food more affordable year-round. UP out.
Yeah, you're on it. Spot on. Well, Zach, I really appreciate the conversation, and I just thank you for having me. And you're right, this is such an important topic, and hopefully, this video inspires everyone. Go learn something new and try out some of these books and figure out what they can do to preserve. And just, I would say, don't overwhelm yourself. I get so many people that come in and they're like, I want to know how to can. And so then they get the canner and then they get frustrated and then they stop canning. They get that fear by paralysis by fear, right? So then they're not going to do it. So I would say find out what you enjoy more. If you like baking bread, if you are comfortable with the dry goods, start there. And then once you get there, then go on to the next thing. So you're never going to be an expert. You're going to have plenty of people that will tell you, you're doing this, you're doing this wrong. But that's again where we go back to the cultural thing. Everybody learned a different way. So nobody's dead. So everything's okay. But yeah, just go out. I encourage everybody just go out and learn, but make sure you're doing what you want to do that's fun for you, and don't get overwhelmed. I'm just gonna warn everybody now. I think Grumpy's home, and so the dogs are gonna go nuts. He'll try to make it really quick and get everybody calmed down.
And community, please grow your food. The things that the government is doing is disgusting.
Yeah, they have done more to make us sick and more to destroy us than they have helped us. And so it's crazy. We were having that conversation on one of our lives. Somebody asked, "What's a proper serving of meat?" And I said, "Always think 4 ounces." And somebody made the comment. Oh, it was John Willis, as a matter of fact. I heard as he was talking on it, and he said, "Well, they fill it up so much with the salt and water. That's all you're buying. So what do you know what a true 4 ounce is?" And so it is difficult, but if you can, you just got to start reading labels. And if you start reading labels, you can find the chicken from a responsible farmer, find that grocery store that buys from farmers. And you know that that farmer is not filling it with a bunch of preservatives and chemicals and all that. And so, as long as you know that and you're careful with it, then you can still get good quality food. Like, we're so blessed. We have Cecil K's, and they sell local food, and so we can go up there. So if I'm in a pinch, we don't have time to butcher because it's so hot. Got to worry about flies, right? And so I know if oh shoot, I ran out of XYZ, I can run up to Cecil K's and I can go grab what fresh ingredients I need for whatever I'm making. And so it's about that, but you have to make sure you take the time to do that. Not everybody wants to take that time, right? So we have been, our government has put us into such a, what I call the drive-through generation society. And so it's all about convenience. It's all about the right now, right here. And so that's why we have so many people that are just so sick. There's so much cancer out there, and the preservatives that is in all the food. because it's easier to buy a frozen pizza than it is to make a pizza. It's terrible.
Any final thoughts about today's topic?
Yeah, I want everyone. Excuse me, I'm just taking ice cube. I would like everyone to just try to get the courage to try something new in your food preservation. So if you're preserving food now, I would almost bet you haven't preserved everything. And so find a new way to preserve something. Find something different to preserve. So if you're not preserving bread, what a great time to figure that out. I have taught that you can make cakes and muffins and all of that. I hand them out, and people are blown away all the time when we speak on, and we go to festivals and we speak on it. They're like, "What is this?" And I'm handing them a homemade muffin in a jar. And they're like, if you don't eat this for the next, couple months, don't worry about it. And we've had some that have lasted 6 months, and no problem. We can go back and eat it. There's no mold. It's not dry. It tastes just like the day that I cooked it. I do believe I have a video on that as well. So try different ways to preserve and do all of that. And I think if you do, just challenge yourself a little bit. And like I always say, be at least 1% better tomorrow than you were today. And you can do that by something new all the time. Okay, so I just encourage everybody to do that. That's my final thought.
My final thoughts are that no matter what you do in life, if we help each other sustain a healthy and prosperous future through knowledge and compassion, we are on the right path to have a life done free. Food preservation is extremely important when it comes to our future because we have to have food to survive. With this, thank you for joining us today, and I love you all. I waited patiently for the Lord, and he inclined unto me, and heard my cry. He brought me up also out of an horrible pit, out of the miry clay, and set my feet upon a rock, and established my goings. Psalm 40, 1-2 KJV. Hey community, Unique Prepping has partnered up with Hunter Brothers Coffee. It's a veteran-owned coffee company out of Pennsylvania. They sell across the world, and have light, medium, dark roasts, ground or whole beans, and even flavored coffee. If you like to order coffee, use my link in the description of this video or go to my LinkTree. At checkout you'll get a 9% discount. Order you some coffee and help support veterans in need and help get service dogs as well. Thank you, and let's help our veterans since they helped keep our country safe.